Well, thanks for joining us again. This is Talking Politics in Western Pennsylvania. This program is a summary of the 10 parts that we have been doing over the past couple weeks. And I think that it drives home the issues that I think the public should know about Harris and Biden during this period of time. The problems that they've caused, the issues that they've caused, and the ramifications, I think, are going to be the big part. Well, let's get started. Once again, this is Talking Politics in Western Pennsylvania. I'm Bill Merrell, the host. All right, first thing here, we're going to look at the petrodollar real rapidly. Okay, the petrodollar was the most important financial agreement of the 20th century, with oil-producing countries using the dollar to sell their oil. Biden destroyed this because he was ignorant, insulted Saudi's rulers without understanding the potential results. Our agreement with OPEC to sell oil in dollars for our protection of Saudi was the real reason we went into the Gulf War in the 1990s. Weapons of mass destruction, my career field was chemical, nuclear, and biological, so I was active during that period. And in fact, a congressman, Bill Gray, pulled me aside one day and told me about this. And he also explained to me that most of the Congress people did not know about the ramifications of that agreement. Biden announced if he was elected president, he would make the Saudi rulers pay for the price and make them, the fact, the pariah that they are. Okay, and the stupidity of this is that whenever in 2018, 2 years later, when oil went to $120 a barrel, he went groveling to Saudi Arabia, fist pumping an unsmiling prince, asking for the kingdom to increase oil production, and the prince refused. The other problem that we have is that Biden stole billions of Russian funds to dissuade them from hostilities against Ukraine. His move fails, and many countries form the BRICS to support the ending of the dollar dominance. The problem with the future and with the BRICS growing by every day, I think that there's a total of 68 different countries now that are in fact part of the BRICS, that they are in fact not buying oil with the dollar anymore. Now you may wonder why that's so important. Every country had to come to us to buy our money to give to Saudi and the other oil-producing countries. What happened was, and the sad thing what happened, was the fact that now that is no longer the case. And all these countries, almost 50% of the world's population, is now spending their own money. The problem is, out of our $35 trillion debt, almost $29 trillion are owned by the countries that have now joined the BRICS. So what happens if they want their money back? Think about that and think what it's going to do to the dollar. Our military under Biden and Harris. Okay. I'm not going to say a lot of this because I have a small video here that explains more than I can ever imagine. The sad part is, a new poll shows that 72% of American voters would not be willing to volunteer to fight for their country if the United States faced a major conflict. That has never happened in American history, all right? I get so frustrated because of the fact, once again, being a retired military member, to realize that the harm that these people have done. In the last 3.5 years, 12 conflicts have arisen throughout the world or have escalated during the Biden-Harris. They are weak, and future doesn't look better if she stays in office. China has bought millions of acres of our farmland near military bases. Harris allowed millions of military-aged people into their country, including thousands of Chinese. These are military age. What are they doing here? Military bases around the country have already found that there have been over 100 Chinese trying to get onto our military bases. And this last one really makes me mad. The Air Force is embroiled in controversy following the revelations of this DEI initiative, which aims to decrease the number of white male applicants in the entrenched or the esteemed officer program. So if you're going to go into the ROTC or military, they don't want whites to do it. The only problem is you'll find that that's a major problem.
How do we make sense of American desire to disengage, at least in, and where President Trump and the Republicans fit into that? If you take the 4 years of Donald Trump and you take the 3 years of Joe Biden and you ask yourself just a number of basic questions. Did NATO rearm more efficiently under Trump or under Biden? Did Putin go in under Trump or Biden? Did China talk about taking Taiwan more under Biden or Trump? Did China feel free to surveil the United States with balloons under Trump or Biden? Did Hamas attack under Biden or Trump? And go down the list. Did we end Afghanistan nobly under Trump or ignobly under Biden? And then ask yourself, so was the world more deterred? It doesn't really matter whether America fights wars or not. In fact, often when you fight some wars, it as you know well, it destroys deterrence because you lose them, as we happened in Afghanistan. Being in Afghanistan and the way we got out destroyed deterrence. So the question is, if you look at what Donald Trump did, was he an isolationist? Did he say, okay, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, Mr. Kim Jong-un is Australia, he's your problem. He's not our problem. No, he didn't. Did he say to the Middle East, ISIS came out, I don't know, maybe we caused it, I don't care, but I'm not getting involved. No, he said, I'll bomb this, and he did. And he took off almost everything off the target restriction list that had existed under Obama. Obama said they were JVs, no problem. He got them. And then for 10 years, we've been told that Qasem Soleimani was the catalyst for Iranian terror, but he was untouchable. He was untouchable for two reasons. The Europeans said he was sacrosanct, and he never knew where he was. Trump killed him, and he just killed him. And I could go on. And they said you cannot attack the Wagner Group because the Wagner Group is an extension. It's sort of Putin's Praetorian Guard. And they told Trump, these people are provoking us in Syria, and he said, kill them. We killed 200 Russians. No one talks about that, and wiped them out in Syria. So he was Jacksonian, and I don't know how one would characterize that, but his attitude was not necessarily preemptive. He just said, these are the problems that face the Western world, and when they get to a point that they're pressing us on deterrence, I'm going to remind them that what they're doing is stupid. And it worked. And it's not me saying this. Again, I get back to that saying of Jake Sullivan when he said, there's nothing going on in the Middle East. It's boring. It's calm. It was, yeah. But, and then they inherited it. And, if you take the Houthis off the terrorist list and you give Iran about a $80 billion blank check of new oil revenues, and you beg them to get in the Iran deal, and you try to pressure Hezbollah to give Israel to give up oil rights and gas rights to Hezbollah in Lebanon, and then you get out of Afghanistan the way you did, and then you tell Putin that if he's going to hack, keep off the hospitals, then you've destroyed deterrence. And I don't know how that fits into the traditional activist isolationist. But Trump is not an isolationist. He's a punitive Jacksonian. And he feels that from every now and then somebody has to be taken on for the benefit of the United States and the Western world. And he gets angry when people criticize him. Yes, he gets angry when the alliance, he's very angry at the alliance of NATO because he feels that there's 450 million people in Europe. They have a larger, NATO and EU together have a larger GDP than we do, if you put them both together, and yet they will not spend 2% of their GDP on arms, and they expect the United States to contribute 70% of their defense needs. And if you question that, then you're an isolationist. So what that does to him is then he gets into his Trump annex. I told him, I hope Russia does that. But if you just cut out the rhetoric and you look what he actually did, Putin did not threaten Europe during his tenure, and they did spend a lot more in defense, and that came in very handy when Ukraine came up, because some of the Europeans were able to help Ukraine with supplies that they wouldn't have otherwise had they not started to ramp up. So I don't think he's an isolationist. He's a Jacksonian nationalist. But I think he's a nationalist that even supersedes his American interest.
What I think everybody has to remember, too, that during the 4 years that Trump was in office, as he pointed out, none of the countries attacked anybody, all right? Everybody left everybody alone. And before that, Russia took over the Crimean Peninsula while Obama was in office, and he didn't do anything but sit on his hands. So in reality, folks, the world is a safer place whenever these folks aren't in office. Obamacare, what has it done to our medical system? Well, it screwed it up so badly, it's disgusting. Cost in 2010 for $18,000. By 2023, those costs went to $31,000. Okay? All the promises that Obama made on this program were lies. You didn't keep your medical system. You didn't keep your insurance. Cost wouldn't go down. The deficit didn't go down. Once again, Obamacare failed his website, and that was really sort of funny because that was given to Mrs. Obama's sorority sisters company, and they got $670 million. And it could have given every citizen of the United States $2 million. So if you have 4 people in your family, you could have gotten $8 million if you had 4 in your family. And that would have covered probably all your medical needs forevermore, okay? But no, we spent that on a website that failed miserably for the first year and a half, 2 years that it was supposedly up. The program will build on lies. Over 333,000 healthcare providers have left, including 117,000 doctors. Over $716 billion has been stolen from Medicare to prop up this stupid program. Medicare drug costs. The average premium for a Medicare drug plan jumped 46% since Biden and Harris have been in office. And a study released identified 631 rural hospitals, about 30% nationwide, that are in high or immediate risk of closure, because these programs that Obama and them put into place cut their money that they were supposed to receive for actions. And the problem is those actions cost more. The x-rays cost more, the CAT scans cost more, but that was done based on dollars from the past. Lies, damn lies, are political lies, and the swamp. Biden has lied about everything. He's lied about his history. He's lied about his education. He's lied about, his classified documents, about his taxes. You name it, he's lied about it. Okay. Harris, on the other hand, is carrying those lies. She never worked at McDonald's. Her ad that talked about her middle-class McDonald's life is no longer being run, but the PACs that are supporting her are still relating to that. So they're lying too. Consensuous relationship between most of the American media and the Democratic Party supports the left biased news we hear every day. If you look at the relationship, and if you go back to section 4, and you look at the relationship between the hierarchy of these news organizations, who they are married to, happens to be people in the Democratic Party, senators, congresswomen, congressmen. But they're all, that's it. So every day you listen to ABC, which is a joke, every day you listen to them, they're giving you biased news. The Democratic Social of America taking a victory lap after Harris picks their VP choice. And here's an interesting part. Harris' failure to prosecute One West Bank for their fraud when she had the authority and she was in the Attorney General office in California. George Soros owned One West Bank. Oh yeah, this is the same Soros who just gave her $20 million. Yeah, the swamp is deep, folks. Bidenomics, who pays what? Biden has, from day one, tried to cause a class problem. The 1%ers aren't paying their fair share. They're paying less than the teachers, less than the policemen. And that is absolutely BS. The top 5%ers pay almost 56% of all taxes paid to the United States. The top 1% pay between 28 and 30.3%, not the 8% that Biden keeps spewing about. Biden likes to pretend like he's some great deficit cutter. Every 100 days, he adds another $1 trillion to our debt. The country has 2 downgrades of our financial condition, our credit rating. One is now under Biden, and the other one, the first one, was under Obama. That should wake people up, but people are stupid. Over 1,000 stores have closed in Pennsylvania in 2024. Almost 30 restaurant chains have closed or filed for bankruptcy during the same period. In August, the Bureau of Labor Statistics report that 48,000 full-time jobs have been lost, and they replaced it with 527,000 part-time jobs. And the problem with that is part-time jobs usually do not come up with benefits, health benefits and other things. And so, yeah, they've created jobs, but they lost jobs. So in this whole case, they will tell you that, hey, we almost created 100,000 jobs, but they're part-time jobs. So some of these part-time people are working 2 and 3 jobs just to pay off their medical expenses. Bidenomics continue failure. The Fed chairman, the national debt is unsustainable. We are now paying more for our interest on our debt than we are paying for our entire military, including the purchase of ships, planes, all the people in 740 bases throughout the world. The U.S. debt is on pace to top $56 trillion over the next 10 years. Kamala thinks the American dream is elusive. It's just actually not attainable. Not in her world. Not in her world. As we showed on the part 6, you buy a $400,000 house in our area and you have excellent credit, you will spend, on today's interest rate, more money than you would have 4 years ago. Not only would you pay more money, but you will, in fact, have to have an income of around $150,000 versus that of $110,000 under Trump to afford the same house. Okay? Once again, these are a lot of statistics, and I understand that. It's frustrating because whenever I get mad, whenever I think that people are actually supporting these people after they have been taking and causing our funds to run out. Just this last week, 3 restaurants in our area have been notified that they're either closed or filed for bankruptcy. And they are Anthony's Coal-Fired Pizza and Wings in Cranberry, Joe's Crab Shack in Station Square, and Salam in Brookline have permanently closed this week. That's not because we're having such a great Bidenomics is not working for us. That's because these stores, these organizations can't live with the high interest rate and the fact that food costs too much to go out and to eat. Part 7, how the world sees Biden. It's a joke. If you looked at that section, you'll see that the NATO leaders think that he's gone crazy. Italian and Saudi TV make a mockery of him, which never happened in the past. That would have never happened if the petrodollar was in place, especially in Saudi. The British news ran a poll of the people in the Great Britain. Who is the world's worst political leader? Putin was first at 37%. Biden was second at 29%. That has to tell you something, folks. And now the damning impeachment report shows why the Dems were desperate to get rid of the corrupt Biden. Protecting our borders. This affects all of us. Garland, which is really scary that he's in charge of all of this protection, supposedly. I'm worried about the possibility of a terrorist attack in the country after October 7th. They let all of these military-age people come into the country, probably 50% of that 10 million at least, and now they're worried about it? It's not very smart. The illegals that they have allowed are more than the 10 smallest state populations. Now, the problem with this, of course, is the fact that if they were able to get into those states and vote the way that they're being told by the people who are handing them hundreds of thousands of dollars, then all of a sudden we will never have a two-party system anymore. And this has to really shake somebody up. Eric Adams out of New York, the mayor of New York, said, I would say about 75% of the arrests in Midtown Manhattan are migrants, mostly for robberies, assault, domestic incidents, and selling counterfeit items. Texas has seized 500 million doses of fentanyl. That is enough to kill everybody in the United States and Mexico combined. Barack Obama said, we simply cannot allow people to pour into the United States undetected, undocumented, unchecked, and circumventing the line of people who are waiting patiently, diligently, and lawfully to become immigrants in this country. Yeah, well, I guess that wasn't convenient whenever he said that, because he's ignored all of that now. And the Senate bill, which they keep on saying that Trump crushed, was terrible. It basically allowed all of the stupidity that Biden has allowed, with 1.4 million people a year entering this country, to be put into law. We can't do that, all right? We just can't do that. And once again, the Department of Homeland Security said that there's 300,000 missing migrant children, and they don't know where they're at, and they don't know what's happened to them. Part 9, after the coup. The New York Times columnist labeled it a coup. Sky News talks about Kamala Harris being an absolute clown show. Harris runs away from everything she's ever said to try to get votes. And that was supported by Bernie out of New England, who said that she will do whatever it needs to, in fact, get the votes. All right? So she's going to lie to do whatever she needs. From her get rid of it to expand it, Harris's child credit. Stunning reversal on condemning Trump's wall to accepting it. Harris is running against her own failed record. Moderator Lindsay Davis admits fact-checking. was only planned for or against Trump. Now, the problem is, this Lindsay Davis is a sorority sister of Harris. All right? ABC never said that. Generation Z is stupid. That's a comment from Harris you just heard on the last program. Did Commie Walsh actually steal military assets and secrets? This goes far deeper than anybody can imagine. Part 10, after the coup. More family members of Walsh show support for Donald Trump. His brother said that he's an idiot. All right? 21 false claims and hoaxes by Harris that ABC debate moderators did not fact check. The Democratic Socialists of America took the victory lap for her picking Walsh. That right there should disqualify them. Walsh is criticized for labeling the police as an occupying force and an illegitimate police power. Whenever the riots were going on in Minneapolis, it is reported that his wife told him to raise the windows so she could smell the rubber burning. How sick. All right, you really have to, this is a sick family, and his family apparently agrees with that. He misspoke, lied about his military career to the point where he bragged about something that he wasn't entitled to. All right? For years, 19 years he did this. All right? 19 years. And we really have to look at that. And also that incident with his DUI, which was in fact interesting because he said that he was given a ride by the police to the police station because it was a misunderstanding. His alcohol level was significantly higher than the legal limit whenever he was arrested. So once again, you know, your life is a lie, and people have bought into that. Teamsters leadership fails membership. And this just came out the other day. Our members are of the union, and their voices and opinions must be at the forefront of everything the Teamsters do, according to their president. The only problem is, during a voting window, the rank and file Teamsters voted almost 60% for the union to endorse Trump, compared to 34% for the union endorsing Harris. In the poll ending September 15th, Trump got 58% and Harris got 31%. And the union decided not to support who their members called for. Now, the Pennsylvania union, of course, you know, they do whatever they want to, and they supported Harris. Doesn't mean that their numbers, in fact, supported it. Biden-Harris failed to understand the most important financial deal of the last 100 years and screwed it up. The lies and failures of Obamacare led to 300,000 plus medical people to leave the field. And when we're talking 600 plus hospitals, Washington Hospital was one of these that were having financial difficulty, is why that they went out to talk to AGH and UPMC. And UPMC did finally end up in an agreement with them. Biden-Harris lied about the taxes on top of the 5%ers, causing class problems. Now, once again, this is a major issue. They keep talking about how Trump is a billionaire and how the people, he doesn't support the people. His 2017 tax cut was benefiting all of the middle class. So people really ought to get their heads out and, in fact, see what the truth is. Kamala thinks the American dream is elusive. It's just actually not attainable. Once again, Harris is running against her own failed record. And these people, once again, it's just discouraging that they, in fact, didn't support what their membership wanted. Harris notches the lowest net approval rating of any vice president in the NBC News polling history. She was 32%. She was the least liked vice president in history. And now Taylor Swift is having a lower favorability rating than Trump, because since she endorsed Harris. What does that tell you about her followers? But you hear every day how the young people are supporting Harris. Well, if the young people support Harris, then they are as stupid as she says they are. The threat of Harris to walk into homes of gun owners and take their weapons. Folks, this is what happened in Germany before World War I and II, all right? They disarmed their people. Every country that is socialist tries to do this because of the fact if you are able to fight back, they can't control you, all right? And these idiots are, in fact, talking the same stuff. Now, here's an interesting short clip.
Every single restaurant, of the people willing to talk to us, we could only find one Harris supporter in every restaurant, and we left no stone unturned. I approached every single person. We had so much fun. But what was really incredible is in every single restaurant, of the people willing to talk to us, we could only find one Harris supporter in every restaurant, and we left no stone unturned.
Okay. So I will read this again because supposedly she said this, which is really interesting. I promised to do everything I could have done, but didn't do because if I did it, I wouldn't have to promise to do it. Even though I could do it now, but don't because I don't know what to do otherwise, I would have done it. I think that says everything you possibly need to know about the Harris potential administration. Folks, we'd like to thank you very much for this actually 11-part series. I hope you learned something. I hope it's probably not something you want to know, but in fact, it'd be beneficial coming into this election. Once again, Bill Merrell, thanking you. This was Talking Politics in Western Pennsylvania.